Hi, I'm Bridget, and now we're going to work on the element that was the zippers that we took out of our 5 pairs of jeans that we recycled. Depending on the placket and how complicated it was, this one was really complicated, had lots of pieces to it. It takes a little bit more time to get them out than others. Some of them came out pretty simply. I just used a seam ripper or a stitch remover, whatever you want to call it, and got it out. Now, I had 5 pairs of jeans, and when I came up with the projects I wanted to do, I needed 7 zippers. I have a tendency to save zippers, so I had a couple extras in some weird colors. So I just dug them out, and that's these 2. They didn't really come out of the jeans. These 5 are the 5 that came out of the jeans. These 2 have matching zipper pulls. They both are the YKK, and they got like a little indent on it. So I'm thinking I have one project in mind that needs 2 zippers, so I'm going to put them together. This one's broken. It was why the pair of jeans was put into the recycling. So it's not going to be good for anything that needs the pull on it because the pull's missing. So I think I'm going to do this with a different project and use a little piece of our flat felled seam that I liked that was from the one pair of jeans, and I think I'm going to pair it and cut this apart. The next 2 have completely different pulls, and it's going to be for a project that I want to put 3 different zippers in. So I'm thinking I'm going to put one in here that has a third similar color. This one's more black and these 2 are blue, but I'm thinking I'll put it between them, and it has a third different kind of, like a tiny pull. So that way it would kind of add some interest to this one. And then this last one is just, I don't know what it came out of. It's funky, but it's got an odd pull with a triangle charm hanging off it. So I think I'm going to use it for the single project. I think we'll start with the single project first. Alright, the first thing that we're going to need to do here is to remove the fabric. And it depends on how much color you want. In this particular case, I think I'd like a little color. So I'm going to leave maybe about 1/16 of an inch of blue along the edge of this. And you want to have as sharp as scissors as possible because this is heavy fabric, one, and you don't want it to look all wonky. You don't want it to have a bunch of like threads sticking out. You'd like it just to be relatively clean here, which I just made it kind of wonky. But I'm going to cut all this off all the way to the end. Okay, now I have it trimmed up. It's relatively straight lines. I've got some little fuzzy places here, but that can be cleaned up afterwards. I'm going to use Quick Grip. I like it because when I'm doing a project, especially in a classroom situation, everyone can take their projects home. E6000 is great, except that you've got to let stuff sit for quite a while. So if you're impatient like I am, you may want to use Quick Grip because it's approximately the same thing, but it's super fast. Now some people don't like to work super fast because they want time to fool around with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little, it's called a ribbon end, or it's just got a little jaw down here, and it flaps down over the ribbon. I've got 2 of them. I've got 1 for each end here. So I'm going to put a little glue inside of it. And you're probably going to have more than you need. I'm going to have a rag here to clear off the extra. And I'm going to put my end of the best end of the zipper. So I decided the best end of my zipper, I want that over this way because I want that on the top. I decided that the best end of my zipper was the end, the inside end of it, not the top, the bottom of the zipper. At this point, you want to use a pair of flat pliers. You want a pair of flat pliers without the little lines, the grippy lines that you would use if you were moving a nut. You want one that's smooth inside. This one's square, this one's pointy. They both would work approximately the same, but I'm going to use the square one right now. I'm going to fold over one side of this little ribbon connecting thing, like that. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to fold over the other side. All right, now that you've attached that, you've got this little flat fold over piece that's holding the piece of material in here, and on the other side it's just got a flat fold. And it's nice and flat, and it's got some glue in there too, so that end is nice and securely held. You're now going to determine how long you want the bracelet to be. Okay, you've got to remember you're going to put a clasp in here with a ring on both ends of the clasp. This is just a snap clasp. It doesn't take up much room. If you have a bigger clasp like a toggle, you need to lay it in there and figure out your total length. So I know I need about that big a gap when I go around the wrist. So I'm figuring I want to be about here. For the purpose of gluing now, you really want to pull off a few of these teeth. Okay, now you have the fold-over clasp on this end and the fold-over clasp on this end. I'm picking up strings because of the glue. All these little strings that I had laying around here are now picking up because of glue. So now I'm going to add the rings and the clasp. Alright, now we have our first zipper bracelet. It's got the snap clasp here on the back, but like I said, you could put anything, a magnet, a toggle, whatever. But the zipper goes back and forth, so you can leave it open or partially zipped, and it'll look really cute on your wrist. So that's the first one. Second one I think we're going to do is we're going to take the broken zipper, that's this one that has no clasp on it, and we're going to sew it to both sides. No, that was cute. We're going to cut off both ends, unzip it, and we're going to sew it to both sides of my remnant here. Like that. Okay, so I sewed the piece of the zipper that was cut out along both sides of our little piece of selvage here, or flat felled seam. And I've got kind of a fuzzy edge on this one, so it's kind of cool. And I sewed right along the old jean stitching so it really doesn't show. So now I need to determine the length once again and put on a clasp. For this one, we're going to use what they call a ribbon connector. They come in lots and lots of different sizes and shapes, and you can get them from 1/4 inch clear up to 3 inches. This one's about 1.5 inches, so it'll do our project pretty well. I'm going to put glue on the inside once again. And this quick grip now is already getting dried up on this. I need to put a cap back on it. Okay, I put glue on the inside of the ribbon connector, and I'm going to jam my fabric in. I'm going to wipe up the excess and just close it. See now that I have attached the ribbon connector, and I've attached a ring and my little clasp here, so that way I can determine exactly how long I want this thing to be. Alright, you can see now I've put the ribbon connector on both sides of my little cuff, and I have my clasp in between. And so this is a good project for a broken zipper.